Hi, I'm Rebecca, I'm the Psych Coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about boosting your confidence. I'm going to give you 4 psychology hacks taken from the world of cognitive behavioural therapy that will help you feel more confident than you may be. Life typically feels easier when you're more confident. You can take on challenges with more confidence, you've got more conviction in what you're saying to speak up, and you'll typically present in a more confident way with your relationships and potentially attract far healthier relationships. So what is it you can do to give your confidence a boost of it? Well, first thing you need to do is act as if you're more confident than you feel. Sounds pretty basic, doesn't it? But actually, it is such a valuable thing to do. Acting as if, faking it until you make it, call it what you want, is a strategy that plenty of people use to feel more confident than they do. Imagine a scenario where you're going to an interview and you're not feeling particularly confident, so you shy away from it. You maybe act as if you feel as bad as you do. You act as if you don't know what you're talking about. You walk into the room like you shouldn't be there. You give in to how you're anxiously feeling and don't really assert yourself or speak loud enough. What impact does that have? You don't sell yourself particularly well. But what would it be like if you acted as if you were more confident than you felt? That you acted as if you were able to walk in knowing what you were talking about. That you were able to walk into the situation thinking, I've got a potential of getting this job. That you were able to walk in and sit with confidence and think, I've got something to add in this situation. That would have an impact on how the rest of the interview went. So acting as if is essentially not giving in to the anxiety that you feel. Maybe you've got a difficult situation coming up where you're probably likely to get quite anxious and want to avoid it. But actually, what would it be like to speak up, to go into that situation thinking, right, I'm going to act as if I'm more confident than I feel. See how that affects you. See how that affects the way you carry yourself. And you can model yourself on other people that you think behave in a confident way. That often gives you a bit of inspiration to carry yourself in a more confident, assertive way. Acting as if is really valuable, and it's pretty widely accepted that when we act as if, we are eventually able to buy into some of the confidence we're pretending to feel. Now, if you're not a particularly confident person, don't worry. It's not like you're going to have a lobotomy and suddenly behave like a really arrogant person. Sometimes people have a concern of, what if I act as if I'm going to behave completely out of character? Not at all. I'm not saying act as if you are really arrogant and like the most confident person in the world. I'm just saying act as if you're more confident than you feel. Okay, you're not going to do your personality a disservice. It's not like you're going to suddenly behave in a way that is totally different from who you actually are. But acting as if you are more confident than you feel will give you a bit of a boost and will allow you to deal with the situation in a far healthier way. And that brings me on to psychology hack number 2, rational priming. Rational priming is where you give yourself a pep talk before dealing with a difficult situation. Plenty of therapists will give their patients and clients pep talks before they deal with difficult situations. And the idea is that you eventually become able to do that for yourself. If you think about the last time you dealt with a stressful situation, chances are your brain was flooded with pretty negative imagery. Negative imagery about what it was going to be like if you didn't do well at it, how bad it would be if you failed, that you're not particularly skilled when it comes to doing this particular task. All the negative imagery comes in, and of course that chips away at confidence. So giving yourself a pep talk, essentially cheerleading yourself and giving yourself a rational talking to where you can say, this is difficult, but I can cope, and once I've got through this I'm going to reward myself, and I've been through worse. When you can give yourself that pep talk, you bolster yourself a little bit more. If you don't believe me, you can try the opposite, where you talk down to yourself before dealing with a difficult situation. I'm pretty sure that if you talk down to yourself before dealing with a difficult situation, you're going to feel pretty bad, even worse than you would have done had you just been neutral about the situation. So there is a huge value in giving yourself a rational talking to before dealing with difficult situations. And sometimes, even if it's not a particularly difficult situation you're dealing with, it can be really useful first thing in the morning just to give yourself a bit of a pep talk. Run back through yesterday of the things that you did well, stuff that's gone particularly well over the past week, things that you've done that you deem a success, bits of yourself that you felt particularly proud about over the past month. Something that just taps into a bit of positive self-imagery, because that will help you hugely deal with challenges and day-to-day life in a more confident way. That segues quite nicely into tip number 3, which is confronting challenges. There is nothing more boosting to someone's confidence than dealing with something and then thinking, I've done it, I've dealt with it. Well done me, because had I been confronted with this last week, I would have avoided it. Confronting challenges gives you huge confidence. Think about children who overcome difficult tasks or deal with a phobia that they've got. They feel sort of really proud after they've done it. They feel sort of boosted to deal with the next challenge. It's no different for adults, but if you continually avoid things that feel particularly difficult, you're going to chip away at your confidence and it's going to decrease. The same can be said for doing the opposite. Confront challenges. Think about things that you can do that feel a little bit uncomfortable, but would actually take you to the edge of your comfort zone and ultimately lead to you feeling better about dealing with certain situations. Confront challenges, don't avoid them, and feel good about the fact you've done them. Avoidance will only lead to lower self-confidence, even if in the short term it makes you feel more comfortable. And that brings me on to my 4th and final tip, praising yourself. Sounds pretty basic, but praising yourself boosts your confidence. Imagine what it would be like if every time you made a mistake, and perhaps you do this, you engage in a half-hour dialogue about how terrible you are, how badly you behaved, how you're a total failure. What impact would that have on your confidence? So what would it be like if when you've done a challenge or when you've done something particularly well, you take a moment to praise yourself? You take a moment and think, I did a job there that was really well done. Go me. That will have a hugely beneficial impact on your confidence. So praise yourself as you would a child, as you may do with a friend, because what happens when you praise people? They feel good. Master the art of praising yourself, because it's probably a skill you haven't practiced in a long time and a skill you could do with practicing. Set yourself a challenge to praise yourself at least once a day. Acknowledge when you're doing a good job. Acknowledge when you're doing a good job, because you're probably the first to criticise yourself when you do a bad job. Praise yourself, feel good about it, and watch your confidence flourish. If you've enjoyed today's tips, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will give you plenty more tips on how you can use psychology on a day-to-day basis.